Grace and peace to you in the blessed name of the Holy Trinity. Thank you for joining me today on this segment of Reflections. If you've been with us on any of the other segments, you know that we use a question, what if, to begin reflecting on the topic for the day. Our topic for today is, what if the Holy Bible is really a reflection of our experience with God as we look at all of the struggles which we face. It's an up and down journey. All of us know that. There are times when things seem to be going well and other times when not so well. We look at the Bible often in a more literal fashion, and we see it as this collection of stories. Some people laugh and talk about, well, it's just all of the begats and all of these stories about war and killings and that sort of thing. But maybe if we take a 50,000-foot panoramic view, we might see something else. It's the story of the Israelites, and they're coming to know God as they begin to learn more about Him and follow Him. There are times when, just like us, they draw near to God, and there will be a leader who comes, who starts cleansing the temple and bringing the Israelites back to an experience of truly worshiping God and following Him. And then there are other times when they drift away. They're influenced by neighboring tribes, cultures. Things are introduced into their own culture that started them on a different sort of path, and they're drifting away from God. As we said a moment ago, that's just like our personal stories, our individual stories as well. There are times when we feel very close to God. We sense His presence being with us, and yet there are other times when we drift away. We find other things in the culture which seem interesting and alluring to us, and we're drawn away from worship and from spending time in prayer, reading and studying. As we learned from our previous segment about the existence of two primary emotions, love and fear. And here we find those same two emotions impacting our relationship with God. Often we allow ourselves to live out of fear instead of out of love. When we live out of fear, we're far away from God. In fact, if we look, research will tell us, although I've not counted this myself, that God says in one form or another on 365 occasions, do not be afraid. That's a profound message. He's telling us not to live in that second of those two emotions. Don't be afraid. You can depend on me. You can trust me, He says. Don't be discouraged. Follow me. He assures us of His presence, which is leading us into love and into that other word which we introduced, trust. As we move out of fear and move into trusting God, we move into loving God, and even more importantly, accepting His love for us. In 1 John chapter 4, we read, we love because He first loved us. The love does not originate with us. It originates with God. Indeed, when we think about one of the major New Testament words, which many of the writers in the New Testament used often, the word metanoia, a turning around, going in a different direction, changing the way I think. Well, that's what this is about, this love and this fear. Because if I look carefully, I will see that I can choose, empowered by the Holy Spirit, where I'm going to live. If I will believe and trust God that I can love Him as a result of His love for me, I change the direction of my whole life, empowered by Him. I'm unable to do that on my own. In fact, St. Paul writes about in his letter to the Romans, don't copy the behaviors and customs of this world, but let God transform you into a new person. There we find the message, how we move from fear into love. We love because God first loved us. We allow God. We give God permission. We submit to God and ask that He transform us, that He move us from living in a spirit of fear to living in a spirit of love. When I live in a spirit of fear, I'm always on edge. I'm prone to anger and the whole list of negative emotions and behaviors. But when I live out of love, love produces spiritual gifts such as joy, hope, mercy, grace, very positive qualities. And the difference between love and fear is what is depicted throughout the whole Bible. The Bible draws us into looking at our lives as they align with the lives of the Israelites, and to learn from them to turn back to God. God is always waiting and ready to hear our prayers and excited when we return to Him, just as it was in the parable of the prodigal son. When the son finally decided to return home, as he drew near to his father's farm, he met the father running to meet him. Let each one of us remember that story, that as we come back to know God, as we submit ourselves to Him, as we allow Him to cleanse us of fear and to replace it with His love and with trust, we can grow in our faith, in our spiritual journey, and enjoy the fruits of the Spirit, to return, as it were, to live in the garden again, to live in harmony with God, with fellow humans, with all of the creatures of creation. As we move from fear to love, we're able to truly experience God's desire for us. One of Jesus' major purposes in coming into the world was to heal us and to teach us how to live in the garden again, to live in a spirit of love. May your day be filled with grace, peace, joy, hope, and love. Thank you for joining me today on this segment, and hopefully you'll join us for further segments.